Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Career Code with Matt and Kierra, where we provide candidates the keys to success in their job search. Today, we are going to discuss how to resign the right way. So, Matt, why don't you just start us off? I know
Yeah,
that a lot of people are looking for new roles or going to be looking for new roles. So, start us off with what that's going to look like.
sure. Yeah. So year-end bonus season is upon us. There's job search January around the
Yeah.
corner. So a lot of people thinking about making a switch for 2024. So we just want to go over how to resign, how to do it respectfully. We know these are difficult conversations that you have to have with your current
Right.
employer and your current manager, and that they can cause some anxiety, some internal turmoil. Am I doing the right thing? I don't want to leave on bad terms. So we'll just go over kind of the rules of doing resignations the right way. So, number one, you definitely want to leave on good terms. You don't want to burn any bridges. You want to be able to get a recommendation from your
Yeah.
manager that you've worked with. So, you got to keep in mind you're ruining your manager's day when you go into that conversation and tell them you're leaving, you're putting in your 2 weeks, right? There's a couple things that you want to do, and I think the main goal is to get your manager to not be upset that you're leaving, and kind of flip the script on them and get them excited about where you're going, congratulate you on the next step of your career as fast as possible in that conversation. So Kierra, do you know any ways that you might use to kind of flip that script?
Yeah. So, I guess first, I just want to add not everyone has the best relationships with their
Sure.
managers. Hopefully, you do have a good relationship with your manager, but I think either way, whether it's good or bad, you should still have a sit down conversation with them face to
Yeah.
face, over video, in person, whatever that may be.
Yeah,
Because
don't
I
just
think,
send an email, right?
yeah, I don't
You
think
want to
emails
make it
ever good.
personal. Yeah, you want to make
Right,
it
right. And you
personal.
might need to send an email to officially resign at the end of the day, but
Yeah,
definitely have that conversation. Wait till there's a good time to have that one on one. And I think ways you can do this is just say what you're looking for in your next opportunity, that this is something that you're not getting at your current role. I think you should make it about something that can't be fixed.
yeah,
So whether that be a commute, or whether that be what you're compensated and how you've been looking for a raise and not getting that. Make it about something that wasn't fixed or that was not available to you in that current role. So then it makes it seem like there are more reasons than just not liking where you're at. I
yeah.
think that's a good way to go about it. But I definitely think the one on one is so important because you don't want to burn any bridges. You never know where you might cross paths again. You never know if you're going to work with this person again in the future. And you just always want to have a good relationship with the previous company you worked at.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you can use them as a reference in the future as well.
Yeah. And just to add to that, definitely make it about something that they can't change or they can't fix, or put a band-aid
Yeah.
on. And you did mention like pay or compensation or salary. I would be
Mm-hmm.
careful using that as a reason why you're resigning. Maybe talk about the industry that you're going to and that you're excited about. Like obviously a company that you're working for can't change what industry they're in,
Right.
or maybe like a product that you're excited to work on, or it's a growth opportunity, or a larger company or a smaller company, right? You want to be careful with bringing up compensation, because there's always that recruiter's worst nightmare that could come into play, the dreaded counter offer, right? And so when we're talking with candidates who have to put in their notice and resign from a
Mm-hmm.
company, we tell them and we tell everyone like they should expect a counter offer, right?
Yeah. Oh,
The
I get that.
manager, like I said, you're ruining their day. They want to keep you. You're adding a lot of work for them. They're going to have to backfill your role. They're going to have to figure out who's going to do the work while they're figuring out how to hire your backfill, right? So, you should expect to receive a counter offer, or have them bring one up. It's not always the case, right? We say proceed with caution, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
More money won't fix all the problems that are there. Like I said, it's more of a band-aid than anything. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of data that shows people that do entertain or accept counter offers end up leaving within the next 6 months anyways, right?
Yep.
There's empty promises that don't get fulfilled. You're already planning on leaving and have one foot out the door. Kind of puts a target on your back, that you accepted a counter offer, maybe then you get passed up for a promotion. And again, more money isn't always going to fix those other problems. So it's best to just close the
Yeah.
door on those counter offers right away.
Yeah, and even if it is about money, if they're not compensating you the way that you should or feel that they should be compensating you right away, and it
Yeah.
takes a counter offer or it takes an offer from another company to get that, that's not somewhere you want to be anyways, if they
Yeah.
don't see
Where
the
was that money?
value.
Where
If
was
they
that
don't
money
see that
all along?
value right away, that's something to consider because I don't think that going with a counter offer is going to fix any of the problems that you had before that, like
Hmm.
Matt said. So if it is about comp, that's something that I would just think about. Also, if you are working with a recruiter and even an agency recruiter, you can always ask if they fill these types of roles and say that, and even bring it up to your manager. Like, I know someone that could help fill this role if you are looking for someone to replace me. So you can also use that as a conversation as a way to help with the process and introduce
Sure.
them to somebody new, like the recruiter that you're working with, if it is an agency recruiter. So it's always good to have that
Yeah.
conversation as well. Something that I also wanted to talk about is exit interviews. So
Sure.
let's say you get to the point where everything is good, you put in your resignation, and they ask you to do exit interviews. Some companies will do this, some companies will not, but this is your opportunity to share what it is that you think could be changed about the company, but you want to do it in a respectful way. So what do you
Hmm.
think that would look like if somebody is asking you questions about why you're leaving?
Yeah, so just to make it clear, the resignation conversation with your manager one-on-one, hopefully in person or video chat or on the phone, like that is not the time to air your grievances about the
Right,
company, right?
right,
Some companies do exit interviews, so that would be a more structured interview, usually with someone in HR, and you're able to share your opinions. And got to keep in mind, you don't want to burn bridges. You
right.
have to be
Want to keep it still
careful.
positive.
Yeah, you have to be careful about, the grievances that you're airing. What I would suggest is maybe write it down beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to say. And, maybe even get someone who doesn't work at the company to look at that and put themselves in the company's shoes and like, would this make you angry? Or is this just truly constructive
Right.
feedback on how the company can improve or how management can
Right.
improve? So,
And I feel like there's always a respectful way to do that too.
yeah,
Like, even if there are some negative things that you didn't like about the company, there's always a way that you can communicate that
sure.
respectively. And I think that's also extremely important. You don't ever want to say something that's disrespectful or rude. There's definitely ways you can reframe that. So maybe that is a really good idea, Matt, to put that down on paper. Make sure you
Yeah.
know exactly what you're going to be talking about and through so that you don't run into a situation where it might be an opportunity to burn bridge for
Yeah,
sure.
a future employer might have to call your past employer to do an employment verification,
Yep.
usually not a full reference, but
Mhm.
you want to leave on good terms and you usually want that employer to say that you're eligible for rehire. So, don't say anything crazy in those exit interviews. When you're resigning, I think the standard in the US is everyone gives like a 2 week notice, right? So,
Yep.
wanted to chat through that because it's not always necessary, right? And you know your situation best. You know your relationship with your manager best and kind of what's standard practice at different levels, right? A manager might have to give a month's notice. Some companies, if you resign, they might lock you out of systems and tell you today's your last day, or they might pay you
Yep.
through 2 weeks. So, keep that in mind. Don't always have to give a full 2 weeks notice, especially in like at will employment states where you can terminate your employment agreement with a company for any reason or no reason at all at any time, right? There's no like implied or written contract there. So, yeah, just feel out your situation as it pertains to you and your company when you're putting in that notice.
Yeah, I think that's always good to think about. And Some companies do, like you said, have a policy. I think
Sure.
it would be most respectful to give a 2 week if you aren't like on a contract and you do have a good relationship. I know some people need a little bit more time if they're rolling off a project and need to transition things over to people. So really just think about that ahead of time and be transparent with the new company that you're looking to work with so that they are on the same timeline as you and that they can approve that and make sure everyone's on the same page. I think
Yeah.
that'll make your transition a lot smoother. You don't want to start off at your new career on a bad note just because you weren't transparent about the start date or when you could leave your current role. So all good things to think about. Every situation is different, like Matt said.
Yeah.
So make sure you think about that ahead of time.
Yeah, you might even be able to start your new job earlier,
Yeah.
or you might be able to take a week off where you truly don't have any work responsibilities before starting your new job. So, could work out for your benefits, not having to do the full 2 weeks or whatever it is, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Did you have anything else to add about all of this? I mean, the only other thing I can think of is if you do have an end of the year bonus coming up, make sure that's transparent, and make
Sure.
sure that you're not looking to start a job after a month and a half
Yeah.
start date or something crazy like that. So just make sure that aligns too.
Yes, too much time between accepting an offer and starting
Hmm.
a job can sometimes lead to unforeseen circumstances. You never know
Right.
what might come up or what business things might change, right? I would say maximum about a month between accepting an offer and starting a
Yep.
new job. Also want to be, mindful of like what your company policy is about that bonus and when it gets paid out, and like if you leave within a certain time after that payout, do you have to pay it back? So,
Hmm.
know all of that stuff before you end up leaving money
Yeah.
on the table. And sometimes this time of year, companies that are still trying to hire, they might do a sign-on bonus to pay you back for the bonus that you're stepping away from. Something to consider when you're in the offer negotiation phase as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Cracking the Career Code. Go check out talentinsights.hirewell.com for more content and follow us on LinkedIn if you are not already.
Thanks.